Oh man. Oh, it's good shit.
The thing with gaming, right, is like a lot of other technology stuff, it's been evolving, which is good. Games nowadays are extremely detailed and huge and expansive compared to the games that I was playing when I was, very young growing up. More fun, that's where it starts getting a little bit a little bit debatable. There are definitely still lots of fun games coming out, but for instance, I definitely feel that the focus on graphics took away a lot of the emphasis on fun. It took away a lot of the focus on fun. It was still there, but it's like the game was expected to already be fun. So it was kind of getting hard, I guess, for these game companies to market their game primarily as just being fun. And honestly, fun, at least back in those early days, like say with Nintendo dominating and with the PS2 and that kind of stuff, it was really standing out. It was being different, right? There is only one kind of Ratchet and Clank. There's only one Halo. There's only one like Uncharted. There's only one, you know, like Grand Theft Auto. Although some others tried, but it's just you really had to be unique and different. And maybe at some point, these game companies, it just got expensive to always be unique and always be different. I don't know, but something happened where basically the marketing changed to like, oh, look at our amazing open world game. Look at these huge mountains and expansive valleys and so much content and most of the time it was just shallow. It was just very, very shallow. And getting back to that whole fun thing, it just didn't feel fun. It was huge. Like, honestly, I remember, and this isn't to that point, this is almost to the opposite. I remember when Skyrim first came out, and even if you don't game, you probably have heard of Skyrim because that game changed the lives of a lot of people, me included. That game was one of the first that came out, and it definitely wasn't the first open world, but it was the first that came out, and it felt like an open world that was actually worth exploring, almost all of it, to the point where it was almost too much to explore. Because you'd be like, oh, go please fetch me some water from the well around the corner. And you're like, yeah, okay, that can't be too hard. You just walk like 2 feet, and it's like, young warrior, the dragons have returned, save me. And it's like, Jesus Christ, okay, sure, I'll just help you real quick. And then next thing you know, you're like fighting a king for the throne of some underground like civilization of monkeys. I don't know. The game, maybe that was a mod, but either way, the game was really crazy. The game, but it's just one of those games that it packed content, and even though it felt random, you're like, there's no way. Like I'm choosing where to go. I have free will, but it all lined up. We always ended up going through like three quests, and then oh, somehow I'm really close to the end of other quests that I needed to do. It was weird, but I remember I was still hurt the souls of some real hardcore gamers. But I was gaming on a Mac at this point. And hear me out, hear me out. So I was initially in engineering, specifically construction engineering, and in that you have to use a lot of AutoCAD. So me being young and impressionable, um, I actually worked in like a few summers. I had interned at like I'm originally from the Bahamas, and the government agency there, the Ministry of Works and Tourism, that deals with stuff like building of public schools, building of roads, any kind of public government funded construction. They're the ones that kind of deal with it. So there's a lot of AutoCAD that's necessary for drawing this stuff up, and all the dudes using AutoCAD were rocking Macs. And one thing specifically, actually, though, because I don't even want to get into that's what's gonna be funny is just as I go, I'm just gonna be writing down additional topics for future episodes because it's probably a good idea. But man, I hate Apple. And like, I know you're like, oh, rolling your eyes, like, oh, another Android fanboy just hating. But I was, I'm like in the hipster Android fanboy, which maybe makes it worse. But I got in Android games super early. I had the Samsung Galaxy One, and it wasn't called the S1 because it was the first one. It was just the Galaxy S. That's how freaking old, ancient I am in the technology. And from then, I already could tell that Apple was pulling some sneaky tactics I just wasn't a fan of, and I just couldn't get behind. So I did not like Apple for a very long time ago. However, the one thing that kind of convinced me to really step into that world of getting that MacBook, and it was like $1,200. That shit was like like if I knew better, like I didn't get a gaming PC, and I always wanted one. I didn't get a gaming PC, or I didn't build, I should say, my first gaming PC until like probably 5 years after that, and that was more than enough money to get a gaming PC and probably a cheap laptop. Poor me back then, but I got it because one of the engineers that I work with at the time, he had something on his Mac called Boot Camp. And for any of you people that are Mac people, you may know that Boot Camp essentially allows you to run natively Windows on your Mac, which is a really cool thing for a company like Apple that I feel, especially against Windows related stuff, tries to screw them over. But this was like built into Macs, fully supported. I mean, there were definitely some issues and things you had to work around, but you could essentially get full Windows, and it kind of worked that you'd boot up directly into Windows, right? So it isn't like a parallel desktop where you have Mac and then while you're running Mac, it runs Windows. You're actually booting into Windows. So Windows has full access to all your Mac's hardware and drivers. Really cool. So because of this, I essentially justified in my mind that I would get a Mac and I would use the Mac side of things for all of my school related stuff. So AutoCAD, my drawing, just, and I also like to keep organized. I just keep all my school related stuff on the Mac side. And then I would, there I go again, and then I would basically use the Windows side for gaming, whatever. And I assume, like, Macs were supposed to be powerful, so they should be fine. Is and just end results, Macs are not good for gaming. If you think that's going to be something you might do often, don't get it. Even with the boot camp, I actually don't get laptops in general, but I did get a decent laptop after that Mac kicked the bug. Which I need to tell that story at some point. How like just the bullshit I went through just to get my Mac. I all started with getting my Mac's power cable exploded on me, which probably happened to most Mac people out there, and the replacement's like $100 fucking. What is that? And then some other stuff exploded in my Mac, and then I went on kind of an excursion to fix it myself, which I did, but left my Mac in not a good state. So I'll dive into that story at some point. But regardless, I did not like Apple very much from back in the day, but I got the MacBook because using Boot Camp, I figured it would be able to work. So reason why that's kind of important is that that's the period when Skyrim came out. And for any of you that know Skyrim as a game, even on the lowest of settings, that's a tough game to run. It's very graphically intensive. So what's funny though is I specifically remember a period of time where Skyrim ran moderately, reasonably okay-ish on the Mac. I mean, it passed. It was like 20, 25 frames. Hey, I'll take it. I'll take it. But After that, I went down to like 10 afterwards. For some reason, never recovered. It just shit the bed. I don't know. But it was such a amazing experience because I just remember I was back home at the time, back in the Bahamas, and when Skyrim came out and I was playing it, it was just a game that I would literally wake up in the morning looking forward to playing. Right? It's like I'd wake up, and if I woke up earlier than I usually would wake up, like maybe I wake up like around 7, 8 o'clock, something like that. If I woke up like 6:30, I was happy. I was like, yes, buddy, yes, teamwork. Screw dreaming. Well, like screw rest. What is that? And granted, I just went to bed at probably 3:30 for like the morning or like that same morning. But I'm like, yes, because I could play some more Skyrim. Like, it probably was a mini obsession for a point. Just going through and playing a shit ton of Skyrim on this MacBook that I was running Windows on. It was a struggle, but it was worth it. So that was a really good game, but not many open world games had that kind of quest density, and just like the world was beautiful even on the shitty graphics where the trees are like, you know these paper mache type nonsense floating airily in the sky. It's like people's faces are just blurs of oatmeal, and like these pinprick little eyes. Well, they'll still fuck you up for no reason. Like you Oh, those days. You went through anything just to get that high of a fun gaming experience, though. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Not many games really had that. So the reason I kind of built that up is that there was this point where games were fun because there just wasn't that much graphically to work with. So you still wanted to make the art style interesting, but there's not too much you can do on the PS2 back then. I mean, granted, the PS2 was kind of one of the better things to work on, but a lot of my time at that point too was spent on handhelds as well. So you can't do much with the Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Color. You can't do much with the DS, like graphically speaking. Um, it really wasn't until the 360, the Xbox 360, and the PS3, along with the PSP, that you started pushing the envelope on the graphic side of things. But that's basically when companies started honing in on that. They were like, oh, graphically, and it wasn't bad at first because honestly, when all your graphics were shit, it's really easy to beat your last shit. But even if you still release shit, as long as it's better shit, like from the perception, it's amazing. So there was like, new Gran Turismo's coming out, new Grand Theft Auto's coming out, new just everything coming out actually looked fucking amazing compared to I remember I always tell this story back when Call of Duty was actually good, right? And maybe some people, oh, Call of Duty is fine. Now Call of Duty is complete shit right now. It just went all so downhill, and you can call me a bitter old young guy or whatever, but it's just went downhill, and now they're trying to salvage, but it's too late. It's too late. But back when I was playing Black Ops, Black Ops was a good fucking game. And I remember me and my buddy, my roommate at the time, chilling on the couch playing this, and it was the game that when it came out, I was stuck in class. Like, fuck that. I could either go to freaking quantity surveying and do a shit ton of math, or I could play New Call of Duty. New Call of Duty every time. Kids skip school for video games. No, just joking. I don't want to get blamed for any. There probably shouldn't be kids listening to this. That's probably a disclaimer I should put somewhere. It's like, if you want your fucking kids to be listening to this, I mean, it'll be good. They're gonna learn some shit, but they're learn some shit that you might not. You might want them to wait a couple decades. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe people are just liberal as fuck nowadays. It's like, oh yeah, my 3-year-old can learn about joints. So yeah. I don't know. Weed's about to be legal next year in Canada, so we're gonna see. There's really gonna be a generation that grows up around legalized marijuana. They think legalize, not legal, but they think technology probably should be illegal in some form. They think technology, growing up around technology is going to be bad. Oh, growing up around a shit ton of weed, I mean, but it's legal, so you'd be like, oh, just hide it from the kid. How? I literally, like, you can grow plants, and you can smoke. You pretty much have to smoke indoors because the rules are ridiculous. I'm gonna definitely do some more episodes on marijuana. I'm definitely gonna dive in. But anyway, back to the story. Assuming I can remember. What was I saying? Um, I don't know. I definitely gotta. I'll eventually get good at like writing this shit down as I kind of go, or recording this shit in and go. Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, so the game with like the Call of Duty, right, and the Black Ops and the roommate. Yeah, see, that's not any recognizable accent, but anyway, I remember sitting on the couch with my roommate and like we're playing Black Ops. And for those of you who are not too familiar with Black Ops or Call of Duty in general, there's these things called kill streaks. So basically, you kill enough people in a row, you get this like power up you could use. That's like get a powerful gun or a plane that comes in and support you, or maybe just something that a radar shows everybody on the map. That kind of like military shit. You know what I'm saying? And there's this thing called a napalm strike, which was basically a plane came in and just fucked up everybody in a line with hot fire. Why have to emphasize it's hot? I don't know. But it was some hot fucking fire. And that fire was lit. But no, it was lit as fuck though, because like we're sitting on this couch looking at it, and it comes through. We call it, and we're both on the roof. It comes through. We're just looking at it, and it just looked fucking gorgeous. It was amazing. Our jaws are dropping, probably high as fuck, but we were just there, like, holy fuck, this is amazing. Like, this looks so good. And that's not often that happens. When you literally stop in the middle of a live online game to admire the effects in said online game. It was amazing. That pretty much never happened again. And I did play a bunch more Call of Duties after that. Just, it ain't there. It ain't there. You do have this sometimes with some of the open world games. Problem though is that it wears off real quick. It wears off real quick. And that's kind of what I was initially diving into. So now the segue makes sense, right? That 15-minute segue. But like that, that open world thing that they're focusing on now, where it's a big world, but it's just not. It's like, I'll give you some examples. Like, I think it was Tom Clancy's Wildlands, like Ghost Recon Wildlands, something like that. It wasn't bad. It's just after literally an hour or 2 hours, you pretty much have seen everything. It just doesn't get. The experience doesn't elevate from there. And maybe that's just the problem with open world games inherently, right? Is that it's open. There's no structure. So they can't control where you go. I don't really think that's exactly true, but I'll touch on that in a second. They can't really control where you go. So they kind of have to make everything even or equal. You know what I mean? They have to make it so that, if you go any one of these directions, you're basically getting kind of the same experience. Or maybe you'd start off going in the wrong way and you get a fucked up experience because you shouldn't technically have went that way yet, but they can't really control you because it's open. That kind of stuff. However, I do feel that it's kind of fine in a way. I miss those games where you go in a world and it is open, and basically there's places that if you go, you get fucked up, right? It's like you just cannot hurt the things there, or they'll one shot you. I mean, even better if you technically can go through if you're skilled enough, but it's better if you go grind up, get some weapons, some armor levels, that kind of stuff, and then go in. But I think it's perfectly fine to be able to have a world that's open, go wherever you want. Certain areas are less challenging based on what you have or do. It's like maybe there's an underwater level, and yeah, going in the underwater level without any kind of equipment is hard because you can't hold your breath that long. Get some oxygen tanks, and it's way better. But you should be able to beeline to the oxygen tanks if you know that it's possible, if you're skilled enough, and then go into the water place maybe, get some weapon in there, some fucking scepter shit, and then you can use that to fuck up the desert people. You know what I mean? I think that I forgot who was talking about it. Let's see if I try to remember. No, I can't really remember, but some game designer. Oh, I think it was the game designer or the lead developer for PUBG. I think he was on a podcast with H3H3 on YouTube, like the H3 podcast. And basically, he was just talking about level design. He was saying how level design is underrated in games, and I do believe it. I think he was more talking about that maybe tight knit competitive thing, because obviously players battleground, underground, whatever the fuck, PUBG is that game does have a like level design is very important, impactful part of it. So I could see where he's coming from, and I do agree that level design is really underestimated. These like some of those initial call they were talking about. I think CS:GO maps, for instance, for sure. Those Call of Duty people that were there on those early days. I can't really remember the early ones because I really started playing like the first game I owned. I think it was like Modern Warfare 2. And I played a little bit before that, but it was like World of War, something like that. But the real game the one I really got into was Modern Warfare 2 and like Black Ops 2, I think, and you know that there's like an era in there. Modern Warfare 3 was probably in there too. Those maps on Modern Warfare 2 were iconic. You know, they were just built so well. Like we all know the sniper map, the big open wasteland map, that was just amazing for sniping with a little middle bunker. We all know about Rust, that really tiny map, or like Nuketown, those tiny maps that were just great for immediate action. You know, we all know those maps that had the verticality, or had that those open fields with like two opposing buildings or camping areas to duke out it. Those maps were amazing. And I'm not saying the maps design nowadays are terrible. It's just I feel like they've been lost behind things like here are the shiny stuff you can get. Here's all the cosmetics and the weapon skins, and those were there, but like the weapon skins back in the day, you had to get like 1,000 headshots on the fucking sniper to get those dope ass skins. It was hard. Now it is expensive, right? It's just a different time.